why do women change up and act differently once they get older? Sharp Game coming at you with another video from ChooseYourRelationships.com, author of Love Can't Wait, which can be found on Amazon.com. So yeah, this video is the question that a long-time subscriber wanted me to talk about. He says he's been lately he's been talking to women in his age range, which he's in his 40s, and even women in the 50s he's been talking to lately. And he said some of these same women he went to college and high school with, now they're giving him play, but back in the day they wouldn't give him the time of the day. So he wanted me to kind of talk about how this comes about, because he says some of it doesn't make any sense to him. And I get that, and I can definitely talk about this because I've had similar experiences. I'm not necessarily, I don't talk to a lot of people that I went to high school with or college with. I don't try to get at them either. They have tried to get at me, gave me their phone number so I can relate to some of that. Before I get started, share this video with anybody you think will like it, anybody that you think the information will be valuable to. And check out my podcast on iTunes, Love Can't Wait. So, most of the time, women, the older they get, the worse they tend to get. Now, there's always exceptions to the rule. Now, some women, as they get older, they tend to get more wiser and mature, but the majority, they tend to get worse as they age. Now, a lot of times, it's because they're not getting as much play as they did compared to being in the 20s and 30s. Because women are not really in demand like that in the 40s and 50s. So they're not getting that as much attention, and they know that. They feel that. And a lot of the stuff they used to do in the 20s and 30s, they can't get away with that stuff. That stuff ain't working. All those manipulation tactics they used to use in the 20s and 30s, guys ain't really trying to feel that no more. They can't get away with that. A guy will call them out in the 40s, something that they did in the 20s. And the only reason they got away with it in the 20s because they look better than they look in the 40s. A lot of women, when they get older, they tend to let themselves go. And a lot of guys, they be like, look, I ain't trying to hear what you got to say. You got that weight on you. I'm going to call up the 28-year-old or the 30-year-old chick. Peace out, deuces. Now, a lot of dudes is like that. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it is what it is. Right? So a lot of women, they feel that's in the 40s. They know that. They know they can't compete with the 30-year-old chick. Can't compete with that 28-year-old. If she's 45, she can't compete with a 28-year-old, a 30-year-old. She can't. She know that. They know that. They might be like, oh, the young girl don't have much experience. You didn't have much experience even when you was in the 20s. Let the young girl live. And a lot of older women have baggage. A lot of them start acting loony. Because everything is they're like hypersensitive. It's like they're on the clock 24/7. It's weird. If you stay around older women long enough, they're gonna do something kind of weird. You're gonna be like, hey, what's up with that, yo? And you might ask her, and she really won't be able to give you an answer. Because it's gonna be something that you don't even understand. And it usually stems back to some guy she was with, or back to her childhood, whoever raised her. That's what it usually stems back to. But you're going to be like, yo, this is weird stuff she got going on. And they tend to be very hypersensitive when it comes to stuff that you really don't care about. It's like they tend to be, and they assume that you think the way they do. Because they might apologize for something, and you be like, hey, what you apologizing for? I mean, okay, it's all good, like, because that baggage from her previous relationship got her thinking like that, because especially now she only does this if she likes you. If the older woman doesn't like you, she won't apologize at all. She'll be like, whatever, I don't care. And see, that's baggage. She's only apologizing because she likes you. The young girl would apologize because she's being polite. That's bad. You see what I'm saying? This is why I always say you should spend most of your time with younger women. Because if she's an older woman that's single, she's got baggage. She's got kids, more than likely. If she never been married with no kids, she's probably crazy as cat shit. Or if she's divorced, ain't no telling what that woman been through with her husband. Ain't no telling what type of guy she got married to either. I've met I've dated a lot of older women my age. I'm in the 40s and 50s and even 60s. I necessarily quote date, whatever that means to you, but I spend time around them. So this ain't just like a one-shot deal type thing. I have a lot of experience with women in the 40s and 50s. Trust me. I remember, this is years ago. I was in Charlotte at the time. And I met this girl when I was taking classes. And I liked her. I thought she was cool. I was at the time I was 30. I was 31 at the time, and she was 40. 31. I thought 31, 32. Yeah, she was 40. She was older than me. She was a cool little chick. I liked her, but she was she's one of those fast movers, man. Everything that I mentioned or thought about doing, she was like, "Oh, let's do it." She was always hyper focused and hey, if we're gonna be together, we have to make plans and do it as soon as possible. I'm like, yo. I even I mentioned having kids. She's like, well, I have kids. I can have some more if you really want them. So we should start doing that as soon as we can. I'm like, whoa. She was like that. She was hyper, she's one of them fast moves, man. That kind of, I felt a certain type of way about that, And then a couple other things about her I didn't like. All her friends were dudes, married dudes, and I met two of them, which was weird. That was another weird thing, And that was the second red flag. And the third thing was something weird happened one night. She, we kind of started going our separate ways after I started learning more. The more I learned about her, the more I started to get turned off. So on this one, so she used to call, so as I started putting space in between her, she kept calling me once a week, which was okay. I ain't had a problem with it. And I used to get up with her. I used to go stop by her once in a while, knock off. You know what I'm saying? Because I actually liked her. But I just knew long term, it just wasn't going to work. So I was like, man, I might as well just make the best of the time. Because in the long term, it ain't going to work out. I just knew. But there's something she did that was the last straw. One night, she called me up out of the blue and was like, "Hey, what you doing?" I said, "I'm at home chilling." She said, "Okay, I'm coming over." So she came over. We started talking about the past and what happened and why things didn't go the way we would have liked, which was cool. You know, she made some good points. So it seemed like she wanted to work things out. So I was willing to do it. I said what I didn't like. She said what she didn't like, and she admitted to her faults and whatever. So to make a long story short, we ended up back in the bedroom, and we things got hot and heavy. We was going at it, right? So I all of a sudden I had to take a piss. So I went in the bathroom, came back out. She was fully dressed. Now keep in mind, she was naked before I went in the bathroom. I come back out. She's fully clothed, dressed. And then she said she has to go. So out the door she goes. So I'm like, yo, what just happened? So I just crack over me a Heineken and start drinking my beer. I'm like, yo, what the heck is just happened? I'm like, so she leaves. 20 minutes later, she calls me and apologizes. Oh, I'm sorry, whatever. I said, all right, whatever. I just finished drinking my beer and I went to bed. The next day she calls, I didn't answer. And this went on for like weeks. She called me like 2-3 weeks, like every day. I didn't answer. On the third week, I finally answered. And she basically kept on complaining about the same thing. And said the reason why she left is because she was talking to some guy and she felt like if she would have got down and dirty with me, she would have felt guilty. Even though, I don't know, even though she wasn't, maybe she was sleeping with the guy, I don't know. Who knows, I didn't go on all that. So I said, all right, cool, whatever, And that was like the last straw. And after that, I kind of cut her off, And she was an older woman. Like I said, it was just stuff like that. And I never ever had an experience like that with no woman. I never had a woman in the bed, naked, and then she puts back on her clothes and leaves. Now, that I was like, yo. Now, I know other guys that had a similar experience like that. But I was like, no, if that ever happened to me, she'd be cut off after that. I would not tolerate that. That was weird, man. And these are the type of stuff you gonna encounter if you stay around older women, because they have baggage. A lot of that, the baggage stems back from previous dudes and who raised them. So a lot of these women, as they get older, they tend to get wiser, and a lot of majority of them tend to get worse. Because they realize that they're not getting that attention as much as they did when they were younger. And a lot of these women, man, they fall into depression. A lot of them do. A lot of them let themselves go, pick up weight. They don't look as well as they used to look. That's usually what happens, man. And a lot of times it's a sad situation. And a lot of these older women are delusional too. They tend to think the older they get, the more valuable they get. They be like, oh, I'm an older woman. They think they have an entitlement mentality. They think they can compete with the younger women. They think they have an advantage over the younger women. I said, the only thing you have over younger women is that you're older. That's it. If you think that's an advantage, okay. But there's nothing like there's no advantage in age. Now, it's like they feel like a lot of older women feel like there's value in being older. It's like a badge of honor, kind of. I'm like, no, doesn't work out like that. And you can't really have a conversation with them about it, because they're kind of locked into this belief that she, it's kind of like a lot of them feel like if they're older, they should have some type of seniority or something like that. They should. That in itself you should respect them. I'm like, no, not because of your age, no. you know, and if you say, hey, if it was, then I'd be like, hey, your phone ain't ringing. Your phone, nobody calls you. You have no friends. And then they say, well, there's no good man out here, this and that, and this and that. I said, well, if you want good people around you, you have to be a good person yourself. And you have to be there for people when they're in need. If you want good people to be around you, you have to basically be the person that you want to have around you. And they don't understand that concept. Most people don't understand that concept. See, you get who you are. You don't get what you want. They don't understand that. To them, that's new age mumbo jumbo. Yeah. It's like if an older woman doesn't like you, she won't even apologize or really say very much of anything to you. Now, a younger girl, she doesn't necessarily have to like you to apologize. She's just being polite. But the older woman, she doesn't. If she doesn't like you, she's not apologizing for anything because she doesn't care. That's where the baggage comes from. And if you try to explain that to her, she won't get it. She'll be like, whatever. So, a lot of times, man, it's just good to date younger women. Now, there's always exception to the rule. But that rule is very small percentage of women. Very small percentage of women, boy. Even if I think about myself today, most of the women that I really like being around are younger than me. Ain't no woman, I'm not around any woman my age group for long periods of time. Because they don't really have anything in common. We don't really have very little to talk about. Stuff that they into, I'm not into. I don't sit around home looking at television all day long, looking at reality shows and talking about, I don't want to talk about no job. I don't want to talk about your job. I don't want to talk about what your mom said to you last night or what your girlfriend. I don't want to talk about any of that stuff. I don't want to talk about politics and Trump. I don't want to talk about any of that stuff. This is what the older women talk about. Talking about their religion. I don't give a damn about no religion. I'm not a religious person. Let's talk about stuff that you have to think about. They don't want to talk about it. Let's talk. What book are you reading right now? They're not reading nothing. They're not reading anything. What's your hobbies? They don't have no hobbies 9 times out of 10. Their hobbies is to come home from work, look at TV, and eat. And go to sleep and wake up the next day and go to work and do the same thing all over again. This is what the older woman, most older women, that's what they do. They done basically, most older women, man, are basically broken. They gave up. And if you look, you can look at most of the older women in this country, and you know she gave up. She's overweight, fat. She probably don't dress as well as she used to dress. She don't take care of herself as much as well as she used to. Most of them have given up, bro. And a lot of these guys are still willing to lay down with them because they don't have no standards about themselves. You know? But hey, man, just keep that in mind when it comes to the older women. Date younger. You won't disappoint yourself, trust me. Like, share this video. Tell me what you think below. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.